Just a minute. Is it visible, sir?
Yes. Play your presence. The playing can share that way.
Okay. Now?
The Google Classroom page.
Okay.
Now,
Okay. Okay. So today I am going to present about my topic name is Julian Barnes, The Only Story, a postmodern absurdist critic. So first we see the table of content, that brief sketch of Julian Barnes, then introduction, critics corner, theoretical framework, analysis, and then works cited. So first we deal with a brief sketch of Julian Barnes. So here are some brief sketch about Julian Barnes, that he was born in 19 January 1946. His occupation is a writer, and a novel, short story, essay, and are a genre of Julian Barnes. Mostly literary movement is postmodernism, and here are some notable awards for from Julian Barnes. So now, introduction, absurdism and co-production of postmodern society in the only story. So Nagel, in his essay, argued that absurdity is one of the most human things about us, a manifestation of our most advanced and interesting characteristic. So, in the only story, gives a comprehensive idea to understand absurdism under the heading of postmodernism, and also clarifies that now postmodern society has its deep effects on the absurd subject. Barnes is completely mindful of the plight of men who are living in the contemporary society, lost to values, higher ideas, and even God, not discovering sustained in time, want conviction and customary feeling. Barnes delineated his character as the people who, without assistance, are confronting the brutal attack of a meaningless life. Through this test practice, they try to cover what Camus portrayed as the unfamiliar opening to comprehend life as absurd. So, in the only story is a story of the protagonist Paul, who is only 19-year old, and he fell in love with Suzanne, who is 40-year old. Both met with each other at the tennis club, where they were assigned to be the partner in a double tennis tournament. Suzanne is married to Jordan, who is amusingly horrifying and drinks all the time and has two daughters. Paul and Suzanne begin an affair which remained till the compilation of the first part of the novel. And the second part of the novel start with the fight between Paul and Suzanne on a trivial issue that become the harbinger of their breakup. Both Paul and Suzanne feel meaninglessness in their lives, and their lives become absurd. In the third part of the novel, Paul start living alone and contemplate over the meaning of love. He also tries to solve the riddle of what had happened with him and Suzanne, and finally find to no great reason for their breakup. Now, critics corner. So, Harris, in his contemporary American novelist of the absurd in 1971, explicated that late American books pass on the feeling that our own is our own is an absurd universe, disorganized and without signifying. Then other critic was Mikhail Folle's The Age of Absurdity, Why Modern Life Makes It Hard to Be Happy in 2011. Sorry. Present have a variety of both synthetic and common elements represent the bedlam in contemporary society. Foley also propose that the best approach to get by right now is to acknowledge and hold on the confusion as a necessary piece of discovering comfort in his absurdity. So, on the creative front, existentialism is mostly represented in the work of Jean-Paul Sartre in 1948, Albert Camus in 1942, and Franz Kafka in 1996, who all perceive the absurd as a reality. So Camus sees it as a ridiculous state of present that is addressed through fiction. His work, Les Mythes de Sisyphe in 1942 considers whether human activities have any significance in his work or not. So, Gavin, in her argument that the Sisyphean predicament, in his opinion, is an ethical narrative about the mad state of human proximity, in which man, like Sisyphus, is continually torn between his power and the horrible discipline where the whole existence is applied toward nothing. Then one other, Lucy Solé, opinion that Julian Barnes has written this work with such a breaking, enthusiastic sharpness as an old man is looking back to his life and is trying to recall his glorious past. Paul, our protagonist of the novel, thinks back over his and Suzanne's life and tries to reconcile the familiar question of memory in which he could find the value of their existence. Now we move forward a theoretical framework where we see that postmodern absurdism in our literature. So, despite the fact that its first appearance was seen back in 1875, which showed postmodernism as a method for depicting a style of painting, the term postmodernism is associated for the most part with the 20th century French Impressionism. So Grain give this argue that it was first associated with painting, religion, society, and later with engineering and verses. The Hungarian critic Martin Eslin coined the term the absurd in his book. The Theatre of Absurd in 1961, Eslin gave this idea that this term that which display the and progressive work of well-known absurdist writer like Samuel Beckett, Eugene Ionesco, Jean Genet, Franz Kafka, Albert Camus, Arthur Adamo, Bertolt Brecht, and Jean-Paul Sartre. So Aslin also said that absurdism in the field of music, the word absurd means out of harmony and hold dictionary meanings such as incongruous, unreasonable, illogical, and ridiculous there. Then Thomas Nagel, in his essay The Absurd in 1971, talks about the absurdity and discloses the fact that absurdism is a permanent or temporary condition for which a man struggles without any reason. According to him, man assumes that the thing that he wants to have is the best thing, and without that thing, his existence will be futile. He also argued that whenever a man faces the situation of absurdity, he usually tries to get the existential idea by solving the problem due to which he has been facing the absurdity. He says that it is the aspiration that excites one's emotion of absurdity, and this aspiration of one thing makes the life of that person absurd, as the man cannot look at the other things that are happening in his surrounding. So he asserts that in ordinary life, a situation is absurd when it includes a consequence discrepancy between pretension or aspiration and reality. Now, analysis. So, the only story, a postmodern absurd critic. In the only story, investigate the person's awareness of being isolated from the entire mechanical assembly of social rituals and ceremonies. He opened the text by uttering the following words that most of us have only one story to tell. I don't mean that only one thing happened to us in our life. There are countless events which we turn into countless stories. But there is only one that matters, only one finally worth telling. This is mine. So the protagonist of the novel, Paul, interviews for his significance and reason for being loved forever. He is a very peaceful for his nearby residents and neglected to give them any comfort. He finds himself when he approaches Suzanne in the tennis club and understands then separation lies in getting included. These also show that Paul is a perfect symbol of absurdity as through his character. The writer is intentionally attempting to pass on to the comment to on absurdity, which is overwhelming the present society. The novel is absurd in its nature as it manages the hero's depression and feeling of radiating from his irritation, breakup, meaninglessness, convention, and his actual self. As Paul asserts that, would you rather love the more and suffer the more, or love the less and suffer the less? That is, I think, finally the only real question. Barnes believed that fatigue, which include a stage of heightened resistance, hold the key to opportunity. Barnes says in his Canyon College address that the most important kind of opportunity is the ability to think about others and to sacrifice for them repeatedly. As Barnes speak through Paul, that the time, the place, the social milieu, I don't know how significant they are in anecdotes about affection. Maybe in the days of yore, in the work of art, where there are fights among affection and obligation, love and religion, love and family, love and the state. Ban center around the different blends of mental issue, youth injury, money-related condition that the unite them as a bookkeeper under the office. Ban communicate the and humate which is present in the contemporary society. All is resolved in not winding up in the suburb like with a tennis spouse and two kids. But on the other hand, he is absolutely uninterested in easygoing sex. It would be different if we could not step back and reflect on the process, but were merely led from impulse to impulse without self-consciousness. This statement is from Nagel's essay. Man is a fully aware of his inner and outer world, but he interprets both of the world in a way that no one expect him can interpret that better than him. So after getting experience of the inner and outer world, people construct their own phenomenological reality, which remain dependent upon their own biased observation. In the novel, Barnes tries to do the sum by making his protagonist character worthwhile. Uh, that I am sorry, our acquaintance has been so brief, my dear. So now let's sum up. In In this, absurdism as a postmodern hybrid genre has been critically analyzed by concentrating chiefly on the elaborative characteristic of absurdism like boredom, confusion, and meaninglessness. Absurd as an integral part of a postmodernism. The novel, the only story, doesn't only nullify the the basic characteristic of postmodernism, like representation of hyperreality, the futility of life, and the absurdism. Rather, it vividly highlights that almost all of the characters of the novel are facing absurdity in a way that is common to all of them. The only story components of perplexity, history, mainstream society, counterculture, love, suppression, sex, and science are joined to make a satire of the postmodern social interference of the postmodern absurdity. Postmodern advancement that the protagonist characters like Paul and Suzanne face absurdity in their life. So here are my work cited, and thank you. If you have any question and query, you can contact me in that email. Question.
Yes, who is asking? Yes,
Oh, okay, Riddhi.
Niti. Okay.
So my question to you, what do postmodernists believe about society?
Postmodernists believe that in contemporary global society, people's identities are chosen rather than given. So in the past, identity tended to be uh, m- more simple and fixed. I, in my opinion.
So, Riddhi, my question is that what are three qualities of absurdism?
When we see absurdist fiction, we see that there are satire, dark humor, then assessment of reason. There are many elements in this. I think. I,
Okay, next.